I'm Sean Austin, CEO at Helios, and this week's Comprehend Composites Spotlight is going to be on the Oracle earnings call. This week's Spotlight is on Oracle and their earnings call, which was heavily focused around their $28 billion acquisition of Cerner. But before we dive in, let me just make the point around tone of voice. How we say something is critical to how much we believe in what we're saying, how informed we are on it, or really the ability for us to just communicate understanding. For instance, if you ask me about the Comprehend Composites launch 3 months ago, it was a definitive launch for the fall. I would have shown that and exuded that through my tone of voice. If you ask me where things will be in 10 years, I'll need to think about it, but I'm obviously very optimistic for Helios, and I would do my best to answer the question if asked. So now rewind it back to Oracle. There's a $28 billion acquisition that took place, the integration of that company, as well as a whole bunch of announcements. What we want to do with Comprehend Composites and what we do uniquely at Helios is listen to that tone of voice and give you an extra indicator and really an extra signal on how the future could unfold in the next couple of months, really quarter to quarter. For Oracle, we see the consensus has been, like most stocks and most technology companies, a bit grim lately. There's been layoffs, there's been a focus on really cost cutting and reduction and margin growth. And what we know is that the macro economy is not, the best as it's ever been. This has been a brutal year across the board, and again, especially technology companies, which we know. So when we have Comprehend Composites listen to it, we want to see what can we pull out that may give us a little indication that really is against the market or something a little bit different. In the past, what we have on Oracle is a very thin correlation score. Correlation for us is critical when we analyze any equity in any earnings call or any call that's existing, because what that tells us is how strong or how confident does the tone of voice get measured. It could be a 1, it could be a -1 at the extremes, or it could be 0, which means we're not really seeing a strong effect. Oracle's historic correlation has been light, which gives us less confidence than others, but what we do see on this call from a negative correlation is that there was a substantial drop in value. So a negative correlation with a negative drop would associate with a positive set of returns in the future from what we've seen. There's backtests that can show how substantial this data is. We can certainly share that for anyone who's interested. But when we think about consensus around Oracle, that is definitely not positive. And then all of a sudden we see a glimmer of hope. I like to think that it means it's really not as bad as some people think. There's an extension of the market that certainly is very psychologically driven. And when we see this glimmer and a positive forecast, a positive outlook, that's something that's unique to Helios and unique to Comprehend Composites. I'd be a little bit, I would say, less than bullish, but I'd be definitely positive on what's going to happen in the future with Oracle. Next week, we're going to dive into a very unique situation where you can see 2 different types of calls that we analyze, not just earnings, and we'll stay tuned for that.